Hello everyone. I am Erjoy Bayron, a third year BS Psychology student in Liceo de Cagayan University. And for today's video, I am going to talk about Gestalt therapy. For today's lecture, we are going to talk about the introduction of the proponents of Gestalt therapy, the key concepts, the therapeutic process, and the application, therapeutic techniques, and procedures. The introduction of proponents. Frederick Perls, a German psychiatry specialist, was the founder and developer of Gestalt therapy. Born into a lower middle class Jewish family in Berlin, Germany, he struggled with academics and was expelled twice. Despite this, he returned to complete high school and earned a MD with a specialization in psychiatry. His experiences during the World War One led him to focus on mental functioning and Gestalt psychology. After the war, he worked with Kurt Goldstein at the Goldstein Institute for Brain Damaged Soldiers, emphasizing the importance of viewing humans as a whole. The key concepts of Gestalt therapy, the view of human nature. Fritz Perls embraced Gestalt therapy paternalistically. He emphasized that the clients need to grow up, handle their life problems independently, and then focus on self-support and reintegrating his own aspects of one's personality. Gestalt therapy assumes that the individuals can self regulate on their own if they are aware of their surroundings, and the therapy itself supports and restores this awareness. Next, concept holism. The Gestalt therapists focus on the whole person, addressing the thoughts, feelings, behaviors, body, memories, and the dreams of the individual. The emphasis may be on the figure, the salient aspects of the client's experience, or the ground aspects, or those aspects of the client's presentation that are often out of their awareness. Next, the figure formation process. This process describes how the individuals organize their experiences from moment to moment, and it tracks how an environmental aspect emerges from the background, which becomes the focal point of their attention and interest. Next, the organismic self-regulation. It is a process by which the equilibrium is disturbed by a emergence of a need, a sensation, or an interest. The organisms will then do their best to regulate themselves given their own capabilities and the resources of their own environment. Gestalt therapists direct the client's awareness to the figures that emerge from their background. Then they use the figure formation process to organize those experiences, which then serves as a guide for the focus of the therapeutic work. One of the main contributions of the approach is its emphasis on learning to appreciate and fully experience the present moment. It involves a phenomenological inquiry, which is focusing on the present moment. The therapists use what and how question, they use or they encourage dialogue in present tense in order to help clients become more aware of the present experience. When the figures emerge from the background are not completed and resolved, individuals are left with unfinished business or unexpressed feelings, which can then create unnecessary emotional debris, which clutters the present centered awareness of the individual. The impasse. It is a point where the external support or traditional behavior is ineffective. The therapist assists clients in experiencing this impasse without rescuing or frustrating them. And this allows them to confront their frustrations and accept their situation rather than wishing they were different. And contact. Gestalt therapy emphasizes the importance of contact for change and growth. Effective contact requires clear awareness, full energy, and self expression. After a contact experience, there is a withdrawal to integrate what has been learned. The therapist in Gestalt therapy discuss two functions of boundaries. connecting, and withdrawing, which are both crucial for the healthy functioning and maintaining um, of one's sense of individuality. So they also focus on interruptions, on the disturbances and resistances to contact, which are developed by the individual as coping processes that hinder their full experience of the present and then contribute to this dysfunctional behavior which they when they function chronically. So here are the different ways on how an individual resists to contact. First, through introjection is a tendency to accept others' beliefs and standards without critically analyzing and restructuring them, and they remain alien to us due to our lack of analysis. Through projection, disowning certain aspects of ourselves by assigning them to the environment. And seeing qualities in ourselves prevents us in taking responsibility for our feelings and person, making it difficult for us to initiate change. Next, search reflection. People who rely on this avoid taking action due to the fear of embarrassment, guilt, and resentment as they turn back onto themselves what they would like to be done to others. So, an example, someone does to himself what he wants to do to someone else. Like, if someone is angry at someone else, he wants to harm himself or others. Deflection is a process of distraction or veering off so that it is difficult to maintain a sustained sense of contact. So when we deflect, we speak through and for others. We beat around the bush rather than being direct. So when we diffuse contact, we diffuse contact through the overuse of humor, the use of abstract generalizations, and using questions rather than statements. And lastly, confluence is the blurring the differentiation between ourselves and the environment. So today's Gestalt therapists readily attend to how the clients interrupt contact. They approach the interruptive styles with respect and they treat each style seriously, knowing that those styles have served an important function in the individual's past. Then they explore the impact of the resistance of clients, then focus on what it protects and keeps them from experiencing. So, the therapeutic process. Gestalt therapy does not ascribe to a goal oriented methodology per se. According to Melnick and Nieves 2005, because of the complexity of therapeutic work, a well grounded methodology is essential. And these are the six methodological components that are integral to Gestalt therapy: continuum of experience, the here and now, paradoxical theory of change, the experiment, the authentic encounter, and the process oriented diagnosis. So, Gestalt therapists aim to help the clients achieve greater awareness, and with greater awareness leads to greater choice and personality change. And awareness in this involves understanding oneself, accepting oneself, and then making contact. So, in Gestalt therapy, without awareness, the clients do not possess the tools for personality change, and it allows the clients to face and accept the denied parts, fully experiencing their subjectivity. The question is, what should be expected of the clients? So in Gestalt therapy, the client should move toward an increased awareness of themselves. They should gradually assume ownership of their experience. They should develop skills and acquire values that will allow them to satisfy their needs without violating the rights of others, become more aware of their senses. They should learn to accept responsibility for what they do. And lastly, they should be able to ask for and get help from others and be able to help and be able to give to others. So the therapist function and role. Therapists engage clients in an active partnership. They engage them to learn about themselves through experimental approaches. They use active methods and personal engagement to enhance awareness, freedom, and self direction rather than directing them towards predetermined goals. So, Yontef asserts that the therapy itself is the client's responsibility, and the therapist only acts as a guide, a catalyst, and an experimenter while also fostering a conducive environment for change. So, we need to also remember that the Gestalt therapists focus on the client's body language because, according to them, it often reveals unconscious feelings. The therapist must be vigilant for the gaps in attention and awareness and for the inconsistencies between the actions and verbalizations of the clients. And the Gestalt therapist also emphasize the connection between the client's nonverbal language and personality, recognizing that the speech pattern often reflects their feelings, thoughts, and attitudes. So the client's experience in therapy. So the Gestalt therapy clients are active participants. They make their own interpretations and meanings. They increase their own awareness and they decide on what to do and not to do with their own personal meaning. And also, Merriam-Polster designed or described a three-stage integration sequence that characterizes the client growth and therapy. First discovery, they experience a new self-awareness, a fresh perspective on an old situation or a significant person in their life. Next is accommodation. The clients now recognize their choices, they try new behaviors, and they expand their awareness. And lastly, assimilation. They now learn to influence their environment. They take critical issues and they develop confidence, which ultimately improves and improvises their behavior. So, the relationship between the therapist and the client. In Gestalt therapy, the clients are accountable for their presence, the self-awareness in themselves and the client, the openness to the client, and they're also responsible or accountable for maintaining a therapeutic atmosphere that encourages a positive work spirit in the client. So the Gestalt therapists are also expected to respect the individuality of the client while maintaining their role, allowing them to express their experiences and stories in a timely and relevant manner, ensuring a safe and effective therapeutic relationship. So, for the application, Yontef and Jacobs point out that the techniques in Gestalt therapy are considered as experiments, and the clients are likely to hear the message, try this out and see what it is like for you. So we have here the exercises. These are pre-made techniques used in the therapy sessions to achieve goals, and they can be used as catalyst for individual work or group interaction, while the experiments emerge from the client therapist interaction itself and are considered as the cornerstone of experiential learning. And the Gestalt experiments are a creative adventure and a way in which the clients can express themselves behaviorally. So, Polster also indicated that the therapist designed experiments based on the needs, the dreams, fantasies, and body awareness of the client, evolving from the themes developed through the therapeutic engagement. So, by dramatizing and playing out problem situations or relationships in the relative safety of the therapy context, the clients increase their range of flexibility of behavior. However, the therapist must be sensitive and attentive to avoid causing threatening experiences or infertile territory to the clients. So, here are some of the interventions that can be applied in Gestalt therapy. First, the internal dialogue exercise. The therapists pay close attention to splits in personality function. So, a main division is between the top dog and the underdog, and the therapy often focuses on the war between the two. So, the top dog is the righteous, the authoritarian, the demanding, the bossy. It is the critical parent that badgers with the shoulds and oughts and then manipulate with threats of catastrophe. While the underdog plays the role of the victim, it is defensive, helpless, weak. It is the passive side, the one without responsibility and the one who finds excuses. So the top dog and underdog are engaged in a constant struggle for control, and the struggle then helps to explain why one's resolution and promises often go unfulfilled, and why one's procrastination persists. Next, the empty chair technique. It is the usage of two chairs to encourage the client to be both the top dog and underdog, allowing them to experience conflict more fully. And it promotes integration between the polarities and conflicts, aiming to help clients accept and live with their polarities. Next, making rounds involves a group member confronting and interacting with others by speaking or doing something with them, aiming to expose themselves to experiment with new behaviors and grow and change within the group. Next, the reversal exercise. So, symptoms and behaviors often represent reversals of underlying impulses. And the theory underlying this technique is that the clients engage in anxiety ridden activities, contacting submerged and denied parts of themselves. The next intervention is rehearsal exercise. So, um, clients who share their rehearsals with the therapist become aware of the various preparation methods used to enhance their social roles. They become more aware of their attempts to meet the other's expectations, their desire for approval and acceptance, and the extent to which they strive for acceptance. Next, the exaggeration exercise. It involves repeatedly exaggerating a movement or gesture, which intensifies the emotional connection accompanied by the behavior, and then clarify its inner meaning. And lastly, staying with the feeling. Therapists engage or encourage clients to stay with the unpleasant feelings or moods, encouraging them to explore deeper into the behavior they wish to avoid, especially when they express a strong desire to flee. And lastly, the Gestalt approach to dream work. It involves bringing dreams back to life and reliving them as if they were happening now. And it involves listing all the details, the people, the events, and moods in the dream, then transforming oneself to fully act and create dialogue. So before ending this lecture, we have let's have a quick summary. We have gained knowledge about Fritz Perls as one of the proponents of a Gestalt therapy. We have also discussed how therapy views human nature as paternal. The clients need to grow up and handle their life problems independently. We have tackled about concepts like holism, figure formation process, organismic self-regulation, and we also talk about unfinished business or unresolved feelings. And the therapeutic process of the theory was also discussed. How the therapists aim to help the clients achieve a greater awareness, which leads to greater choice and personality change. And we have also talk about different interventions that can be applied to Gestalt therapy. So before ending this lecture, I'd also like to share my insights. I learned that this theory is unique in its own way because the experiments can be tailored to fit the unique way of which the individual perceives and interprets his or own culture. And then I also like how the therapy approach helps people deal with the polarities or the conflicts within themselves. So that's it for today's video. I hope you've learned something. Thank you and goodbye.